Aloha lava. Thank you for having me on the program again.
How are you this morning, Carmel?
Yeah, I'm good. We've had a busy week because we've had what we call scrutiny week in Parliament. So we've been interrogating all of the ministers.
Yeah, talk about the scrutiny week, please, Carmel, if you can.
Yeah, so as Pacific spokesperson, we had the Ministry for Pacific Peoples in front of us yesterday.
Yeah.
And I, of course, was asking lots of questions about the $35 million that has been cut this year. That's on top of, I think, the $26 million cut last year.
Right.
And lots of questions about why they would cut employment programs and support for Pacific businesses at a time when unemployment for Pacific peoples is higher than anyone else. It's at 10.8%.
Okay, so what does that affect our Pacific people?
Yeah, well, it affects us because keeping in mind that the unemployment rate for all of New Zealand is only 5.2. We've got double the unemployment rate.
Yeah.
And the employment program that was supported was last year put 1,300 Pacific people into employment. Now they've cut $22 million from that program, leaving only $5 million in it. So you can see there's going to be less support for Pacific people to be able to get into work.
Okay. Carmel, let's talk about this announcement yesterday by the Minister for Pacific Peoples, Dr. Shane Reti. I listened to it, and the announcement that New Zealand will scrap the traditional 5-yearly census after 2030 and replace it with administrative data and annual surveys has raised concern, especially for Pacific community. For you, Carmel, how will the shift away from a full census affect the Pacific communities, particularly in terms of funding and representation?
Well, we're worried that they won't be able to capture the data on minority groups in particular. So Pacific people, Māori, disabled people. And we're really annoyed a little because of the fact that they didn't even consult with us or anyone else. If they want this to be enduring and if they're going to change it, then they should have taken a bipartisan approach and worked with other political parties and others on it. We don't even know what the detail of this looks like.
Yeah.
So there is a high level of concern. The census is important because the information that comes out of the census helps governments decide what policies they're going to implement, helps governments evaluate the policies that they already implemented, and also helps with decision making around where money from the government should go. And so we're quite worried about where this government is going on the census data.
Let's look at the data accuracy, Carmel, because some experts worry that administrative data may not capture the full picture of smaller communities. How can Pacific peoples ensure their voices are still heard?
Well, this is going to be really interesting because we have to find out what the plan is to replace the census. And I think we need to be very vocal and very attentive to whatever they're putting forward to make sure that we're comfortable and confident that they are going to capture the data accurately on our community. Because our futures in terms of the policies that governments will invest in are going to be impacted by this.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at equity concerns because critics argue that this change could disproportionately affect Maori, Pacific peoples, and other minority groups. How does Labour view this shift, and would they push for adjustments?
Oh, we're going to be pushing to see the detail here. And we want to make sure that in no way are our Pacific community, Māori, disabled, and other minority groups overlooked here. Because, as I said, it'll have a huge impact on decisions moving forward. What I worry about is that this is a government that seem to not really care about evidence. They make decisions contrary to whatever evidence they're presented with or without taking any evidence into consideration and make policy and funding decisions, off the back of their own reckons. Now, that's not a good way to run a country, and we certainly won't be running the country like that. We want to make sure that we've got robust data so that we can make the right decisions.
One more issue on this, public trust. Many New Zealanders may not be comfortable with their personal data being collected from government agencies instead of a direct census. How will the government ensure transparency and public confidence in this new approach?
We still don't know, Tave.
Yeah.
And these are the questions that we need to be asking of the government, because they have not given us the detail
Right.
for us to feel absolute trust and confidence that data will be collected in a way that people can have trust and confidence.
Okay, Carmel, one of the hot issues this week is about New Zealand health. Labour has criticised the government for cutting nearly $2 billion from Te Whatu Ora's budget, warning that it could lead to more epidemic, fewer health services for Māori and Pacific communities and a struggling workforce. What can you say about this?
Yeah, well, the government keep talking about the fact that they've put more money into health, but what they conveniently forget to say is that the money they've put in only really covers the deficit that they were experiencing. So we're not seeing any improvements to the health sector, and in many instances, what we're seeing are cuts. They are not employing people when vacancies arise, and so we're seeing a hiring freeze. That really puts at risk the public safety and doesn't put the patient first, Tave.
Right.
That's what we're concerned about.
Okay, let's talk about the police standards. While Labour has raised concerns about lowering police standards, specific details on this issue haven't been widely reported yet. However, they argue the freezing funding for government departments will take it harder to retain essential workers like nurses, teachers, and police officers. What's your take on this?
Well, that's right. I mean, we've got more New Zealanders travelling over to Australia for work than we've ever had before. And some of them are from those workforces that you spoke of.
Right.
Our police, our nurses, our teachers. Now, why are they going? Well, the work conditions and pay here under this government are not enough to make them feel like they have a secure future here in New Zealand for them and their families. And so many are leaving for what looks like greener pastures elsewhere. And we can't have that continue to happen. We need to make sure that we're investing in our workforce and our people and our families so that we've got the people that we need to be basically running the country.
Okay, Carmel, I've just found out that Commonwealth Parliamentary Association New Zealand Group, you are the chairperson. Now, the question as chairperson of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association New Zealand Group, what are your priorities and duties on this?
Yeah, I'm actually the vice chair of the overall Commonwealth Parliamentary Association too. And my priorities are the Pacific region, Tawai, to be very clear. I mean, quite often within the Commonwealth, what is overlooked is our smaller Pacific countries and making sure that they're getting the support that they need to run effective parliaments and to have a robust democracy. I mean, that's what this is all about. And so the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association is there to provide support on those things to different countries, and we want to make sure that our Pacific nations are getting that support.
Okay, the Prime Minister of New Zealand is in China at the moment. Free visas is one of the topics that they're talking about. Are you support of free visa?
I'm not sure about that, Tawai. I don't know if we as a political party have a position on that. So I'd need to think about that one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Carmel. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, just wishing you and all your listeners a good remainder of the week and a safe weekend.
Matariki, public holiday tomorrow. Are you going to spend Matariki somewhere, or you'll be in Tamakinakoto?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be in New Plymouth tomorrow for Matariki, and so I'm back in my hometown with our MP down there, Glenn.
Right, okay. Well, all the best and have a safe Matariki public weekend, Carmel. Once again, Whawhataitele lava Malo, thank you for your time.
Whawhataitele lava.
Whawhataitele lava. Carmel Sepuloni, o le suite tai, o le Labour Party, ma le taranoaga nei fo Taeao fōri tau tuama oin.